The dream you're living might not be what you think. What if I told you the solid world you trust with every step, every heartbeat, and every breath is nothing more than an illusion? What if the chair you're sitting on, the ground beneath your feet, the hands you use to scroll through your phone, all of it is made up of mostly empty space, vibrating fields, and probabilistic ghosts that only pretend to be real? And what if, just maybe, your consciousness is the ultimate architect of it all? This isn't science fiction. It's the weird, wonderful, and deeply unsettling world of quantum physics where particles appear out of nowhere. Cats are both dead and alive, and the act of looking can change the outcome of reality itself. But before you dismiss this as theoretical mumbo-jumbo, consider this. Quantum physics isn't just reshaping our understanding of atoms, it's shaking the very foundations of how we define existence. So buckle in. This isn't just a journey into physics, it's a mirror held up to the very fabric of your life. And what you're about to discover might just change how you see the world, forever. On Part 1. The Illusion of Solidity. What reality really is. A. The world isn't made of things. It's made of possibilities. You wake up, you stretch, you brush your teeth, pour your coffee, check your phone, and it all feels solid, real, predictable. But according to quantum mechanics, this daily rhythm is a high-definition illusion stitched together by probabilities and expectations. We're trained to believe that matter is made of little particles, like grains of sand. That a table is made of wood, which is made of molecules, which are made of atoms, and so on. That these atoms are like mini billiard balls bouncing around, forming everything from trees to tears. But here's the kicker. That image is more than a little misleading. Zoom into an atom, and you won't find a solid thing. You'll find a blur of fuzzy cloud of probabilities. Electrons aren't objects spinning around a nucleus like planets around the sun. They're mathematical possibilities that exist in a smeared-out field of potential until someone observes them. Only then do they seem to collapse into a specific place, like a ghost deciding to wear a mask for a moment. This is the infamous wave function collapse, and it's at the heart of quantum weirdness. When we're not looking, the world behaves like a symphony of waves, every particle existing in multiple possible states, stretching across space and time. But the moment we observe, measure, or interact, snap. The wave collapses, and a single outcome crystallizes out of countless possibilities. So here's a mindbender. Is the world only real because we look at it? B. The Double-Slit Experiment. Reality in a schizophrenic state. Let's talk about the experiment that shattered classical physics and broke reality in half. The Double-Slit Experiment. Here's the setup. Fire tiny particles, like electrons, at a barrier with two slits, and let them land on a screen behind it. You'd expect two bands, like shooting paintballs through two windows. But surprise, you don't get two bands. You get an interference pattern, like a set of rippling waves. That's weird, because electrons are particles. They shouldn't create wave patterns, unless they're not particles at all. Or maybe they're both particles and waves, depending on how you look. So physicists tried observing the electrons as they passed through the slits, and boom, the interference pattern vanished. The electrons behaved like particles again. No more wave-like behavior. Somehow, the mere act of observation changed the outcome. Let that sink in. The world behaves differently when we look at it, as if reality is shy, or perhaps collaborative. As if our minds are not just watching the universe unfold, but are in some mysterious way participating in its creation. See, your life is a quantum probability. So what does this mean for you? If electrons, the very foundation of matter, don't exist in a definite state until they're observed, then the same could be said for everything built from them. That means your bedroom, your job, your car, your body, even your memories are made of things that don't truly exist in any fixed form until some interaction forces them to choose a state. In other words, the world isn't made of stuff, it's made of choices. And it's not just your mind that chooses. It's the entire universe, co-authoring this strange story moment by moment. This opens up profound philosophical questions. Is there an objective world out there, or is reality fundamentally tied to experience? If observation shapes outcomes, then who or what is the observer? And if particles exist in multiple potential states until they're observed, could the same be true for your life's path? Maybe you're not locked into one version of your story. Maybe there are infinite timelines branching off from every moment, and your consciousness is the lens that picks which branch becomes real. That idea isn't science fiction. It's baked into the mathematics of quantum theory, and it leads to something even wilder, the many worlds interpretation. But we'll get there. D. The strange role of the observer. Quantum mechanics isn't just weird, it's personal. Unlike classical physics, where objects behave the same whether anyone is watching or not, quantum mechanics insists that the presence of an observer matters. And not just any observer, a conscious one. This has led to endless debates. Is consciousness required for the wave function to collapse? Or can any kind of interaction like a measuring device trigger it? Some physicists, like John von Neumann and Eugene Wigner, argued that consciousness plays a crucial role, that it's not enough for a detector to record a result. A conscious mind must be aware of that result for it to become real. If true, that makes your awareness a participant in the unfolding of reality, not just a spectator. You're not just in the universe, you're helping shape it. Even if that's not the final truth, the fact that physics can't fully separate observer from observed is monumental. It's as if the cosmos is one giant conversation and you are part of the dialogue. E. The reality you experience is already filtered. You're not seeing the world as it is. You're seeing the world as your brain lets you see it. Everything you touch, smell, hear, or see is a filtered interpretation of raw quantum data. Your senses translate fields and vibrations into a virtual experience, much like a headset creates a VR simulation from lines of code. This means reality, as you know it, is not objective. It's a rendering, a hallucination your brain generates based on limited data. And what if you could tweak the code? Quantum physicist David Bohm once said that the mind is in some way connected with this deeper order. He believed reality wasn't a fixed stage, but a flowing, living dance between the implicate and explicate, the unseen blueprint and the unfolding world. So perhaps your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions aren't just reactions. Perhaps they're inputs, like fingers on the strings of a harp, playing the chords of probability into resonance. F. You're already living in a quantum dream. By now, you might be wondering, is this all just a metaphor? No. This is the framework that underpins our most accurate models of the universe. Every smartphone, GPS, and MRI machine depends on quantum principles. These ideas aren't theories. They're testable, usable, and deeply reliable. But when applied to the big questions, what is reality? Who am I? Do I have free will? Quantum mechanics gives answers that feel more like riddles than conclusions. Still, one truth shines through. The world isn't as fixed, mechanical, or separate as we once thought. You're not a helpless cog in a deterministic machine. You're a node in a vast, mysterious web of probability, and your consciousness matters. You matter. And if that's true, then life itself is more magical than any fairy tale. Because you're not just living in the universe, you're helping write it. Subpart 2. The Dance of Duality. Light, Matter, and the Secret Language of the Universe. A. Light. The ultimate trickster. If there's one player in the quantum universe that defies all logic and structure, it's light. Sometimes it behaves like a wave. Other times, it acts like a particle. Occasionally, it does both at the same time. It's the ultimate shapeshifter, unpredictable, uncatchable, unexplainable by common sense. And it's not just a physics curiosity, it's a metaphor for everything we think we know about reality. Let's rewind. In the early 1800s, Thomas Young's famous double-slit experiment with light proved that light behaves like a wave. When passed through two slits, light created an interference pattern, bright and dark stripes showing that it was rippling and bending like water. But then came the early 1900s. Enter Albert Einstein. He proposed that light also travels in packets, which he called quanta or photons. These weren't smooth waves, they were individual, discrete particles of energy. So, which is it? Both. Light can act like a particle or a wave, and which one you see depends on how you observe it. This is what physicists call wave-particle duality, and it's one of the foundational mysteries of quantum physics. Now imagine applying this to your own life. Think about how often we try to categorize people, events, even ourselves. Am I successful or a failure? Is this a good day or a bad one? Is someone a hero or a villain? But just like light, perhaps we and everything around us contain both. Perhaps it's not about what we are, but how we are seen, or how we choose to show up. Maybe duality isn't a glitch. Maybe it's the operating system. B. Everything is energy. The illusion of matter. Einstein's most famous equation, E equals dot, tells us something world-shattering. Matter and energy are the same thing. Your body, your laptop, the moon, all are just frozen energy. Condensed light, trapped vibration, moving in intricate, harmonious patterns. What we perceive as solid is just energy dancing slowly. So when you look at a tree, you're not seeing wood. You're seeing energy shaped into a particular pattern by electromagnetic forces. The atoms in that tree are mostly empty space, but the fields that hold them together create the illusion of solidity. And your body? Same story. You're made of stardust atoms forged in the cores of ancient stars, but those atoms are only patterns in space. When you touch your skin, you're not really touching anything. You're feeling the repulsion of electromagnetic fields. You are, in the most literal sense, a vibration. A self-aware symphony of energy, momentarily organized into the shape called you. This leads to a profound realization. If everything is energy, then reality isn't a collection of objects, it's a process. A flowing, dynamic, ever-changing field of interactions. Nothing is fixed. Everything is becoming. And in that becoming, we find meaning. C. Quantum superposition. Living in possibility. In classical physics, things are either here or there, on or off, black or white. But in the quantum world, something can be both at once until it's measured. This is called superposition. And it's not just a theoretical quirk. It's been demonstrated in countless experiments. The most famous thought experiment that illustrates this is Schrödinger's cat. Imagine a cat in a sealed box. Inside, a radioactive atom may or may not decay, triggering a poison that could kill the cat. Until you open the box, quantum mechanics says the cat is both dead and alive in a superposition of states. It sounds absurd, but it reflects how particles like electrons behave all the time, existing in multiple states until observed. So what does this mean for your life? Maybe you're not just one identity. Maybe you're multiple potentials, all coexisting, waiting for your attention to bring one into form. We often feel trapped by our past, our habits, our failures. But quantum theory suggests we are not stuck. We are possibility fields. Every moment holds infinite timelines. And your focus, your observation, is the mechanism that collapses potential into reality. In that light, every choice you make becomes a quantum act. You're not just deciding what to do, you're choosing who to become. And that is freedom. D. Entanglement. The universe's invisible threads. Imagine you and a stranger on the other side of the universe. Each hold one half of a pair of magic dice. If you roll yours and it lands on a 6, theirs will land on a 6 instantly, no matter the distance. Sounds impossible? Welcome to quantum entanglement. When two particles interact in a certain way, they become entangled. This means their states are linked, even if they're separated by galaxies. Change one, and the other changes too faster than the speed of light. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. because it violated everything classical physics held sacred. But experiments have confirmed it, repeatedly. Over decades, entanglement is real. So what does this mean beyond physics? It suggests that everything is connected not just metaphorically, but literally. That when two things interact, even briefly, they remain linked in ways we don't fully understand. Your thoughts, your intentions, your emotions, your relationships. Could it be that we are entangled with everyone we've ever touched, spoken to, loved, even thought about? If that's true, then kindness has a ripple effect. So does cruelty. We're not isolated egos. We're nodes in a cosmic web, influencing and being influenced in subtle, non-local ways. This might sound spiritual, but it's also deeply scientific. And maybe the boundary between science and spirit isn't as rigid as we once believed. The observer's dilemma. Who's watching? We've talked about how observation collapses quantum states, but what qualifies as an observer? Is it any kind of detector, a camera, a robot? Or does it require consciousness? Some physicists believe that only a conscious mind can collapse a wave function, turning possibility into reality. Others argue that any interaction, even with inanimate matter, is enough. But here's where it gets weird. We still don't have a clear definition of consciousness. It's the ghost in the machine, the first-person experience of being alive, awake, aware, and the fact that it may influence reality just by perceiving it suggests that consciousness is not a byproduct of matter, but possibly a foundational element of the universe. What if matter arises from consciousness, not the other way around? This is the view held by some interpretations of quantum mechanics and by many ancient spiritual traditions, long before science caught up. If consciousness is fundamental, then reality is not a stage on which we act. It's a canvas we co-create, a dream we're dreaming together. Quantum fields. The code beneath the matrix. Forget particles. In modern quantum physics, the real building blocks of reality are fields vast, invisible energy landscapes that span the universe. Every particle is just a tiny ripple in one of these fields. There's an electron field, a photon field, a Higgs field, you name it. When you see a particle, what you're really seeing is a localized excitation, a little bump in a field, like a raindrop forming on the surface of a lake. And all these fields are woven together in a vast, dynamic tapestry. This is the quantum field theory, QFT. And it's the most accurate description of reality we have. It unites quantum mechanics with special relativity, and it forms the basis of the standard model, the crown jewel of modern physics. But QFT also reinforces something deeper. There are no things. There are only interactions. What we call a thing is just a temporary ripple in a deeper, invisible sea. You are not a fixed object. You are a pattern in a field. A living, breathing ripple in the quantum fabric of space-time. So when you feel lost, fragmented, disconnected, remember, you are still connected to that field. You are never separate. You're not just in the universe. You are the universe. Localized for a little while, learning to see itself through your eyes. Deezer reflection, where science meets soul. Quantum physics is not just a field of study. It's an invitation to see everything differently. To recognize that the world isn't made of separate things, but of relationships, of patterns, of probabilities. To realize that consciousness might not be a glitch in the system, but the very foundation of it. To embrace uncertainty not as chaos, but as freedom. A reminder that nothing is fixed. That life is an unfolding mystery, and you are part of its unfolding. And most of all, to feel awe again. To look at your hand, your heartbeat, your thoughts, and realize this is all made of stardust, energy, fields, and maybe something even deeper. You are not a random accident in a cold, dead cosmos. You are a conscious ripple in a living field, and that changes everything. Part 3. Beyond the Veil. Reality, illusion, and the power of perception. Cracks in the fabric. Is reality real? What if everything you think is real isn't? That might sound like the premise of a sci-fi movie, but it's a legitimate question in quantum physics. From wave-particle duality to entanglement to quantum field theory, modern science keeps pointing to one unsettling truth. Reality is not what it seems. The chair you sit on? Mostly empty space. The color you see? A trick of reflected light and neural decoding. The time you feel passing? An illusion constructed by the brain. Even causality, the idea that A causes B, starts to wobble at quantum scales. In certain experiments, outcomes appear to influence earlier events, as if the future can affect the past. One such experiment, called the delayed choice quantum eraser, suggests that a particle doesn't decide its behavior until after it's been detected, and that this choice can somehow retroactively rewrite its past. It's not just mind-bending, it's reality-bending. If a photon can change its story after the fact, what does that say about the fabric of time? Or your own narrative? Could your past be more fluid than you think? Could your future already be influencing your now? B. The simulation hypothesis. Are we living in a code? As these quantum paradoxes pile up, some scientists and thinkers have proposed a radical idea. What if the universe is not a physical structure, but a digital one? Welcome to the simulation hypothesis. First popularized by philosopher Nick Bostrom, the theory suggests that advanced civilizations might eventually create simulations so realistic that the inhabitants wouldn't know they were simulated. If that's possible, and if there are many such simulations statistically, we're probably living in one. Sound far-fetched? Maybe, but it explains a lot. Why is math so perfect at describing the universe? Why do particles behave probabilistically, as if they're waiting for code to be executed? Why does the universe seem quantized pixelated at the smallest scales? And why does observation seem to render reality like a video game engine generating the world only when you're looking? Even Elon Musk and Neil deGrasse Tyson have said it's more likely than not that we're living in a simulated reality. Now, whether or not this is true, here's what matters. Your experience is still real to you. Even in a dream, the emotions are real. The love is real. The fear is real. So whether this is base reality, a dream, a simulation, or something beyond comprehension, you still have agency. You still have meaning. And maybe that's the point. C. The role of consciousness. The final frontier. Despite all our scientific progress, there's one thing we still can't define, measure, or fully explain. Consciousness. We know it's there. You're experiencing it right now, reading, thinking, feeling. But where is it located? In the brain? In quantum fields? Is it a property of matter? Or is matter a property of consciousness? Some theories, like integrated information theory, try to quantify consciousness based on complexity. Others, like orchestrated objective reduction, OR, developed by Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, suggest that consciousness arises from quantum processes in microtubules inside brain neurons. Still others propose a more ancient idea, that consciousness is fundamental, not produced by the brain but filtered by it. That the brain is like a radio tuning into the signal of awareness that permeates everything. This aligns closely with spiritual philosophies from Vedanta to Buddhism to indigenous cosmologies. That consciousness is the ground of being, and everything else, time, space, matter, arises within it. If this is true, it flips everything. You're not a person having consciousness. You are consciousness having a person. And perhaps the universe is not a machine, but a mind, not an object, but a subject. D. The participatory universe. You are the creator. In 1984, physicist John Archibald Wheeler proposed a profound idea, the participatory anthropic principle. It suggests that the universe requires observers, that reality doesn't fully exist until it is observed. In his words, we are not just observers. We are participants in bringing about something of the universe in the distant past. This isn't just poetic, it's quantum. Every observation, every decision, every act of awareness may be shaping the cosmos past, present, and future. This idea isn't new. Indigenous traditions have long spoken of the world as a co-creation between human beings and the divine. Tibetan Buddhists say that mind is the painter of the world. Shamans speak of dreaming the world into being. Now physics is echoing that truth. So the real question isn't, what is reality? The question is, what are you creating with your attention? If perception influences reality, then every thought, every word, every belief is an act of architecture. You're not a passive observer. You're a builder, a dreamer, a shaper of worlds. So what do we do with this? It's tempting to get lost in the abstractions, to treat quantum physics as a cerebral playground or a cool party trick. But this isn't just theory. It's a mirror. Quantum reality reflects back to us a truth we've always felt but never fully understood. That nothing is fixed. That everything is connected. That consciousness matters. That our lives are not accidents, they are ongoing, unfolding miracles of choice and awareness. So how do we live in light of this? We slow down. We pay attention. We stop pretending that we are separate from each other, from the earth, from the cosmos. We begin to act like participants, not victims. We create beauty. We take responsibility. We open to mystery, again. Final reflections. Quantum physics doesn't tell us what reality is. It tells us how little we know about it. It invites humility, wonder, and curiosity. It doesn't give us a clear map, but it offers a compass toward mystery, toward interconnectedness, toward the power of perception. And when science meets soul, something shifts inside us. We stop asking, "Is this true?" and start asking, "How do I live if it is?" So live as if your thoughts matter. Live as if your presence changes things. Live as if the universe is listening, because maybe it is.